Hi, and welcome to coachfactory.net. I'm Awad Muhammad, instructor for CCNA, CCNP and CCI. In today's session, we'll be discussing about advanced static routing. For example, if we want to configure load balancing using a static route, how can we do that? And how can we provide redundancy using a static route? So in this scenario, we got only one connection and we wanted to provide communication between these two branch office users, which belongs to 10 and 20 networks. So let's say this is a New York branch and this is in California branch, and we want to provide communication between all these computers which belongs to 10 network to the computer which belongs to what? 20 network. So for that we need this configuration. So from the New York router we will be using this command IP route, then we will be specifying the destination network which we want to provide access to our LAN users, which is 20 network, followed by the subnet mask and how to reach the destination network. So it will be the next hop IP address of the California router, or we can specify the directly connected interface, outgoing interface of the New York router, either 1.1.1.2, which is the California router's IP address, in order to reach this 20 network, or we can use what? The interface of the New York router itself. So in the same way, from the California router we can use this command IP route destination network 10.0.0.0 followed by the subnet mask. Then we can specify the IP address to reach this destination network. So from California, if this router wants to reach this 10 network, it has to come via what? Via this IP address. It is becoming like a gateway to reach this 10 network. So here also we got option, either we can use the IP address of New York router as a gateway, or we can use serial 1 as our outgoing interface. So this configuration we required when we got only single connection, so that these users can communicate over that WAN connection. But in this scenario the problem is, if this connection goes down, the users cannot able to communicate. There is no redundancy we got. So here we got more than one connection for redundancy purpose. If one connection goes down, still we can communicate with another connection. So how can we configure load balancing using these multiple connections using static route? So we need to give these two commands to static route entries. Destination network will be same, subnet mask will be same, but only the gateway IP address will be changed. Now this is representing these connections IP address, this interface IP address, and this one is representing another serial interface which is connected to the California branch. So now what's happening? Router knows in order to reach this 20 network, it can go via 1.1.2, or it can also go via what? 2.2.2.2. So if you give this command in New York router, show IP route, then you are going to see this connected. That's the network 1. Set. Then we got 10.0.0.0/8. These are all connected to what? The serial and fastnet interface. Now S means static route. So it will be learning the 20 network via 1.1.1.2. After you give these two commands, then you will see this 2.2.2.2 means these routers, which is the New York router, it can able to reach this 20 network from two different paths. So both has been used as a best path. So what's happening over here? These routers can communicate between each other and they can provide access to this 10 and 20 network. After we configure these commands, they will be using both the connections. They will be using what? Both the connections. Now both connections will be used. Now on what basis both connections will be used? By default, we have something known as administrative distance value. Now what is administrative distance value? With every routing protocol, whether it is static routing or dynamic routing, every routing mechanism got the value known as administrative distance. What is administrative distance? It is the trustworthiness of the protocol. So static routing got administrative distance value as 1. So why this router is using both this connection? Because both the connection got the same administrative value. The lower the administrative value, that much more the router trusts that particular protocol or that particular mechanism. So in this case, we are using the same static way of configuring routing. That's why both got what? The same administrative distance number. So it is using both the connections as a best path. So what happens whenever this user sends a request to the router saying that, hello router, I want to communicate with 20.1.1.1, 1.1.2, which is this computer IP address, then this router checks the routing table, and its routing table he found to reach the 20 network, it can go through 1.1.2 as well as 2.2.2. So it is going to load balance both the connections in order to reach this 20 network. So this is called static route load balancing. So if this connection goes down, still these users can able to communicate with each other using another connection. So this is administrative distance. The administrative distance is a number that measures the trustworthiness of the source of the route information. The lower the administrative distance, the more trustworthy the source. If a path has the lowest administrative distance, it is installed in the routing table. So in our case, what we saw just now, both the path has the same administrative distance value. That's why router prefers both, and it installs both the path in its routing table as best. So these are the default administrative distance values which is predefined to all the routing mechanisms. All the connected networks got 0 administrative distance, which is more trustworthy to reach any destination because that is connected to the router itself. Static got 1 as a administrative distance value. EAGRP summary route 5, EBGP 20 EAGRP. So these are what? These are the predefined administrative distance value to all the routing mechanisms. Now in this scenario, if I want to use this connection as primary and this connection as secondary, which is also known as floating static route. Generally we use floating static route as a backup static route. For example, we are running what? RIP over here. So we'll be using RIP as our primary routing protocol, and we'll be using static as our secondary routing mechanism. So we'll be giving a higher administrative value to the static route compared to the RIP. RIP got 120, so we can give static road as AD value as 121 or more than that. So in this scenario, what the router is going to do? The router is going to choose the routing protocol or routing mechanism which got the lower administrative distance value. So it will choose RIP. In case RIP we are not using it, or there is some problem with the RIP configuration, something like that, then we can use static road as our backup. So in this scenario, we are not using any kind of dynamic routing protocol. We'll be using static route itself. So using a static route, we got two connections. I want to use this connection as primary and this connection as secondary, because this is 20 MB connection I got, and this is just 4 MB connections. So whenever this 20 MB connection goes down, I want all these users to communicate with each other using this 4 MB connection. Unless until this 20 MB connection is available, the router should not use this 4 MB connection. So if we want to achieve this, we can use administrative distance for that. So this is the simple command, IP route. Then we got the destination network, subnet mask, and the next hop IP address. But what we are doing here, if you notice here, I have wrote a number over here after the next hop IP address. Now what is this? This is known as AD value. This is the AD value of the route, administrative distance value. So what is the by default administrative distance value? 1. So this route got 1 as administrative distance value, and this one I have changed it to 2. So which one router is going to prefer? If it has more than one path to reach the destination network, it is going to check the administrative distance value of the path. Whatever the path has the lowest administrative distance, it is going to prefer that. So in our case, it is going to prefer this one. So it will be used the primary connection as this one. If this connection goes down, then automatically it is going to use the secondary one as a primary. So we can achieve this primary and secondary paths using administrative distance value. So how can we give this command? After you write IP route, destination network, followed by the subnet mask, then the next hop, then simply you just need to write any number which is greater than 1, because by default 1 is the administrative distance value of all the static routes. So if we want to use any connection as primary, we should not write anything after that, because by default it will take 1 as administrative distance value. So if we want to choose this connection, for example this connection as secondary, then once we specify the next hop IP address, we should simply give any number higher than 1. So this will be used as primary. If this is not available or goes down, this connection, then routers automatically, we don't need to do anything, this connection will come up. So that's it about advanced static routing. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I thank you for watching it.